The move is queen takes b7, sacrificing a full queen, because if you take that queen, it is checkmate in one. What is up, guys and gals? Welcome back to another chess video. This is me, JK Jax, back at it again. Today, I'm going to be showing you my secret weapon against the Caro-Kann. The Caro-Kann is, known to be one of the most popular, the most solid openings out there. I want to show you a fast way to save your stamina and destroy the Caro-Kann in 10 moves or less. So, here we play e5, bishop f5, and the move h4. Tall variation. I've covered this before in my first part on how to play against the Caro-Kann, and I've talked about how e6 and h6 are not good moves, and the only way for black to stay in the game is h5. Now, in that particular video, I recommend the move bishop d3. Bishop d3 is still the best move till this day. However, it is very positional and the games you get can be really long. If you plan to save your stamina for bigger matches or more important matches, and you want to find a way to win against your opponent as fast as possible, then I recommend this venomous line, bishop to g5. This is known as the Caveman Attack, Ooga Booga. Why is this an Ooga Booga move? Well, what do you want? You want to play the move pawn to e6. What do you not want? For the opponent to play e6. So Ooga Booga, you play bishop g5, now he cannot play e6. He no play e6, me happy. Done. So bishop g5. Here the only move for black to stay in the game is queen to b6, counter attacking the pawn on b2 and attacking the pawn on d4. Now let's talk about some of the moves that can go very wrong for black first. Queen a5 is a fine move to make. It's not a bad move by any chance. However, to me, this is a positional mistake. Now you can play knight d2, knight f3, and once again go for the move pawn to c4. This is still the main idea, the main pawn break you're going for in these types of positions. This bishop to e2, you castle, f4, and your plan is to try to put as much pressure on the c file as much as possible. Okay, so that's the general plan. Another idea, so that will be it against queen a5. What if f6? f6 seems like a fine move to make. You attack the center, you attack the dark square bishop. However, there is one fatal flaw behind this, and that fatal flaw is that f6 weakens e6 for black. So now, not only it weakens e6 for black, it also weakens the light squares around the opponent's king. Your goal here would be to find a way to trade this light square bishop and take advantage of black's weakened light squares. Therefore, the move that I'm going to be recommending is bishop d3. Note that bishop f4 is also a completely fine move, but it takes the sting out of your attack. I feel that bishop d3 is much more venomous and obviously is the move recommended by the engine. Bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, and now f takes g5. Here you play the move queen to g6, king e7, and the move e6. Here, black has two moves to play, king c7 and king d6. If he plays anywhere else, if he plays either king c7 or king c8, simply just take the pawn on g5. If he plays king d6, you play queen f5, threatening checkmate in one with e5, queen e5, okay? But if he plays like king c7, the idea is that you're just going to take the pawn, and now, even though black is up a bishop, black lacks space and activity, and at some point black has to give up material to just stay in the game. Now, obviously what white wants to do is knight f3, knight e5, bring your rook to h3, up and over, and attack the weakened black king. In these types of positions where you're down material but up in terms of activity and initiative, you should seek to play actively. Remember that. Okay, play active. Shove your pieces down the opponent's throat. Okay, don't play passive. Obviously, practice these types of positions with an engine, you know, not in the actual games, but maybe practice with a friend, practice with computers, practice with bots, and upgrade your attacking play over time. What can the opponent play? Another move the opponent can play is knight h6. My recommendation against knight to h6, which sorts of defend the f7 pawn and develops the knight, is bishop d3. So bishop d3, once again, your idea is to trade this light square bishops, but you necessarily don't want to take him. You want him to take you. Because if he takes you, for example, now your queen is much more well positioned. Now e6 comes with greater effect. Note that now this bishop no longer defends e6 because it's gone. e6, and now the light squares around the white king, around the black king, is weakened. So after bishop d3, the opponent is definitely going to play queen a5 check. Against this move, I would recommend bishop d2, sliding your bishop back to attack the queen with tempo, and queen to b6 attacks the center, attacks the b2 pawn, just take the knight. Now here, black needs to be very precise here. All other moves loses for black except bishop takes d3. And even so, the combination that black needs to find is very hard to find for players that are below 1700. Rook takes h6 is wrong because this seemingly looks like it wins a rook for black. However, knight d2 saves the rook, and now white is just up a bishop. That is one way that black can lose. Another way black can lose is takes, and takes the pawn on b2, which is wrong. The idea is that now this looks like you win a full rook, but bishop d2, you sacrifice your rook, but at the end of the day, the queen is trapped. Where's the queen gonna go, right? Yeah, the queen takes your pawn, but now, after bishop e3, the queen is attacked one more time, takes, and bam. Now black's rook is trapped, and you shred black open. Now black has to stop checkmate in one, and the rook from being taken, which he cannot do both, right? There is also no way you can save this rook. The rook is gone for good. So the actual correct move is to take, and rook takes on h6, which your plans are very simple. You want to play knight f3, followed by knight g5, and this knight wants to go to d2 and also play c4. Yo, hello, Future Jack here. The reason why you play knight f3 before knight to d2 is that you're not afraid of queen takes b2. The reason is because now the queen has wasted the tempo trying to go after your rook, and besides, it can't even take your rook because of the same queen b3. And now on the next move, you're actually just ready to straight up trap the queen with either knight to c3 or knight bd2. Both moves actually are winning. The opponent can't play that. So what can the opponent play? One move and one move only. Queen to b6. And even so, black is still not out of the woods. The move that I will be recommending here is the shocking bishop to d3. Not b3, bishop to d3. There is only one correct move black can play to save himself, and it's still not over, even though he plays that move. Now let's talk about the other mistakes first. Bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, and a lot of players here, surprisingly, take the pawn on b2. And now the move is not what you expect. You would think the move is queen c3, but you're wrong. The move is what we've been playing for this whole time. e6. What? Now the reason behind this move is that if black takes the rook, you play queen to b3 first. You're not taking any pawns. You want him to take you, right? If he takes you, his dark square bishop is stuck, his knight is stuck, his everything is stuck, okay? Queen to b3. Now you attack the pawn on b7. Plays b6. Knight f3, knight c3, you castle first, knight c3, and the black queen is actually trapped. Not only the black queen is trapped, black's position is miserable. Okay, it's stuck, completely paralyzed. Here, other than b6, obviously black can play queen to d4. You can simply just take the pawn on b7. Now you're threatening checkmate with queen c8. So the only way out is to give a check on either e4 or e5. Doesn't really matter. You play knight e2 to block that check. You let black take another pawn. Black is up 7 points of material, but he is still losing. Do you want to know what the evaluation is for white? Plus 2.6. Insane. So, what is the move here? What is the actual knockout blow? The knockout blow is rook h3. And now your idea is very simple. Okay, you can bring the rook to e3 to harass the queen one more time, but your actual plan is to first take the rook and then bring your rook to b3, attacking the pinned piece. Okay, pp on the pp. Okay, putting pressure on the pinned piece. You add the pressure using your rook, and you're gonna pick back your rook, your bishop, your whole bloodline. You take black's soul, you take black's will, money, house, family, pets, everything. Okay, gone down the drain. Why am I saying so much? I don't know why. I'm so excited about this variation. So here, black has to play e6 exclusively, and now you just play knight d2. Once again, you still play for the move c4, and let's say queen a6, you still go c4. Knight h6, you also go c4. Everything is c4. Even the best move c5, you play c4. Now there is a little line that you still need to remember and keep in mind, and there are two moves to remember pretty much. Is that everything else that black plays, you play knight f3, but if black takes the pawn on b2, you would think to play rook b1 to counter attack the pawn on b7. However, the position remains very unclear after this, and here black gets a very healthy center even though you win this pawn. So I don't really like this position for white because there is no straightforward way to make progress here as white. The actual best move here is to bring the rook to d1, and your idea is that you provoke black to take the pawn on d4, and if he does that, now your queen can slide to b3 to attack the pawn on b7. So you want the queen to be attacking b7, not your rook. Okay, and now many players here take another pawn, so black is up 3 pawns. So this will be another concept that I'll be teaching on in the near future, times when activity beats material. Okay, so I know there's this one Gotham Chess shot that says that how do you evaluate if a position is better, and Gotham Chess said that the first thing, right, to evaluate if a position is better is material. Well, in most cases that will be true, but there are some cases where activity or your piece activity, your initiative actually beats material. So I'm going to go over through what are some guidelines to actually determine who has a better position. Here black will play something like knight d7, and your idea is very simple. You want to play the move bishop to f4, attacking the queen. Once the queen saves itself, now you can play the move bishop to c7 and really shove that bishop in there. And now you're just going to take that pawn. You're going to play the move castles, bring your rook towards the queen side, and shred open black's position. And there's also a very funny variation, is that if black takes your pawn on c4, you play knight takes c4, and if queen to c7, okay, right now there is a defender on d8, and that's the queen on c7. So how do you remove the defender? The move is queen takes b7, sacrificing a full queen, because if you take that queen, it is checkmate in one. Goodness gracious, alright, insane. So in this position, after queen takes b7, white is plus 10. What? Actually insane, and the queen has no squares. Oh my stars, this is very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate things for black here. So from this point out, pretty much the position is as good as over. So after queen b2, rook d1, the best move is to play knight c6. So black wants to go knight b4 and harass the queen. However, after knight G2, knight B4, queen F3. The position remains super complicated, but white should be doing exceptionally fine here. It leads to a very complicated position. I think you should check this out with an engine, but at the end of the day, you still get queen B3. The positions you get from this variation is very confusing, but it's still very, very dynamic for white. There's a lot of attacking chances. Even here, right now, you're actually just threatening checkmate, queen to b5, classic Boden's mate. Only way to stop it is bishop to e7, right? Knight e7 does stop checkmate. However, queen b5, king d8, and black just lands himself in a much more worse position. So bishop e7 is the only way to go. Here, I recommend the move cd5. Take your free pawn back, rook d8, and now this shocking move, rook to e1. My friend, this looks like it's a free knight, right? Takes, knight is gone. But what was the key Caro-Kann move that we've been playing all along? That's right, e6. Here black is lost, right? Insane, because takes, you are not going to take that pawn. You're going to take this. And it's either he loses the knight or loses the rook. And explore this with the engine a little bit more on yourself, because if I go through in depth about everything, the video is going to be way too long, okay? The video is already pretty much quite long, but this is just a general overview of the Caveman Attack, okay? So this variation, I'm not going to be going too in depth, but this is one of the ways black can sort of refute your ideas. Whoa, I just changed my hairstyle, that's insane. So other than e6, there is queen a6. Against queen a6, I recommend queen h3. Declining the queen trade to threaten checkmate on c8. Plays e6 to stop the checkmate threat and open up the dark square bishop, as well as playing c5, knight c3, and now we play the move knight to c3. The reason for knight c3 is that you want white to castle his king. The only way to allow white to castle is if you can block one of the castling squares from the queen, and that is with the knight going to e2. And the knight needs to be protected, because once you castle, the knight becomes unprotected on e2. Knight to e7, trying to go to knight f5, you go knight g2, knight f5, and you castle. And here, very simple, at the end of the day, you still want to go knight g3, but you need to first defend your pawn on d4, followed by knight e to g3 to trade this knight on f5. You always want to meet this knight on f5 with the knight on g3 to challenge the knight on f5, and then once he takes you or you take him, it's either you win a pawn or get an open rook, an open f-file for your rook to attack. That will be pretty much it for the Caro-Kann tall variation. Any questions regarding the Caro-Kann tall variation, drop a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.